Okay, so good morning. So let's look into the derivation for the most economical, the speed ratio for a two-row velocity compound wheel. Okay, so if you look at the velocity triangle, I have written the velocity triangle for two rows. Okay, and the first row, the inlet is 1 and outlet is 2. And for the second row, the inlet is 3 and the outlet is 4. That's what the sign convention I'm going to use. And I have marked A, B, C, D, E, F for the inlet, that is first row velocity triangle, and G, H, L, M, N, O for the second row velocity triangle. Fine. See, for this optimum value of the speed ratio, this will be more more reflected on obtaining the maximum work done, or in other terms, we can call that as the maximum blade efficiency. Let's look at some of the assumptions what we have been doing for these conditions. The first assumption being both the blades are equiangular. That is, if I consider the first row, beta 1 is equal to beta 2. If I consider second row, beta 3 will be equal to beta 4. And if it's for an actual condition, so if I call CB or KB as the friction coefficient, which will remain same for first row, the rotor, or in between the rotor and the second row of the rotor, if they have a nozzle, so there also it will be the same. And for the second row rotor also it will be same. So I mean that CB will be equal to VR2 by VR1, which is equal to VR4 by VR3, which is equal to VR3 by V2. So V3 by V2. This is the sign convention I'm going to use. Now, we know that from the Euler's expression, the work done is given by VW1 plus VW2 into U. Fine. For first stage. For the second stage, it is VW3 plus VW4 into U. If I call delta VW1 as VW1 plus VW2, and if I call the delta VW, the 2 as VW3 minus VW4. Okay, so the blade efficiency is nothing but it is the work done divided by your kinetic energy. So what is your work done? Delta VW1 of 1 for the first stage, first rotor, delta VW2 for the second into U, the whole thing divided by V1 square by 2. So I can write the same thing as 2. If I take it to the denominator to the numerator, this will become 2 into U into delta VW1 plus delta VW, that is 2 for the second rotor, the whole thing divided by V1 square. Let me call this as expression number 1. Okay, let us go to the velocity triangles. If I go to the first row velocity triangle, delta VW1 of is equal to CA plus AE. Let me come over here. So this is nothing but CA plus AE. CA plus AE. So let me write that. Let's use the trigonometric principles. What is cos alpha 1? It is nothing but your adjacent side, which is AC, divided by your V1, that is your AB. So let me write that cos alpha 1 is equal to AC divided by V1. What is my VW1 or AC is equal to V1 cos alpha 1. Okay. Now what is my cos beta 1? Cos beta 1 is equal to your adjacent side, which is DC, divided by VR1. Or what is this DC? DC is nothing but, if I go and check it over here, what is this DC? This is your VW1 minus your U. What is your VW1? VW1 is nothing but it is the tangential component of your V1, which is V1 cos alpha 1. So I can write the AC as V1 cos alpha 1 minus U. So that is your DC, I can write it as V1 cos alpha 1 minus u. If I write that, that's what I'm writing here. So cos beta 1 is equal to V1 cos alpha 1 minus u divided by VR1. Or if I cross multiply, VR1 cos beta 1 is equal to V1 cos alpha 1 minus 2. So let me call that as equation number 2. Okay, now let's go to the exit velocity triangle. What is my cos beta 2? Cos beta 2 is equal to dE by VR2. Let me go and check. So here this cos beta 2 is equal to dE is the adjacent side divided by your hypotenuse, that is VR2. Okay, let me write for that. dE is equal to, cross multiply, do that, VR2 into cos beta 2. Okay, let me call that as equation number 3. So already we have taken that it is an equiangular kind of a wheel. So that means beta 1 is equal to beta 2 and CB is equal to VR2 by VR1, or I can write VR2 is equal to CB into VR1. So therefore, if I substitute for VR2 from this expression, your dE will be equal to CB into VR1 into cos beta 1, or cos beta 1, or already we have cos beta 1 is equal to V1 cos alpha 1 minus u divided by VR1. So already we have that particular thing. Okay. So VR1 cos beta 1 is equal to V1 cos alpha 1 minus u. Already I call that as equation number 2 or 4. So I'm substituting for dE. So wherever I have VR1 cos beta 1, I'll substitute in terms of alpha 1 or C. So dE will be equal to CB into V1 cos alpha 1 minus u. Then what is my AE? So if I go and check it, AE is equal to, fine, AE is equal to dE minus CE. That is your dA or whatever it may be. That is your VW2, sorry, VW, the whole thing minus of U. That's what I'm writing here. This is equal to dE minus C. What is dE? CB into V1 cos alpha 1 minus U minus of U. Okay. Now what is my delta VW1 for my first row of wheel? Already I have taken it as AC plus AE. So automatically this becomes V1 cos alpha 1 is my AC plus AE is equal to CB into V1 cos alpha 1 minus U of minus C. Now let's open the bracket and write it as V1 cos alpha 1 plus CB into V1 cos alpha 1 minus CB into U minus U. So let me call that as equation number 5. This is the expression for delta VW1 for the first row of wheel. Now what will happen? The fluid with the steam will exit your first stage or first row rotor and it will go to the next stage. So what we expect is there should not be any shocks. So for a shockless entry, the exit flow angle from the first rotor should be equal to the entry flow angle for the second rotor, that is alpha 2 should be equal to alpha 3, and already we have taken CB as the friction coefficient, which is equal to V3 by V2, or V3 is equal to V2 into CB. Now, what is your delta W for second rotor? It is Lm plus Mn. Let me go and check it. It is equal to Lm plus M and N. So that's what I have written, Lm plus Mn. Now let us try to calculate this particular thing and try to see how these things will work. Now if I consider the velocity triangle for the second row, that is row of wheels, cos alpha 3 is equal to your LG, that is my adjacent side, divided by V3, that is your hypotenuse. Or I can write LG is equal to V3 into cos alpha 3. Okay. Or I can write LG is equal to, already what is your V3? V3 is nothing but CB into V2 cos alpha 2. Okay. Now, if I go and look into velocity triangle, if I take V2 into cos alpha, V2 into cos alpha, that is your V2. What is this actually? This is AE. So AE is nothing but V2 into cos alpha 2. I can write I can write it as V2 into cos alpha 2, I am write it as AE. But already I have defined AE is equal to CB into V1 cos alpha 1 minus U multiplied by into minus of U. Already I have defined it. I'll substitute for EE over here. So LG becomes CB into CB V1 cos alpha 1 minus U minus of U. Now if I open the bracket, what will happen? This will be CB square into V1 into cos alpha 1 minus CB square into U minus CB into U. Or if you want, I can take CB square as common. I can write V1 cos alpha 1 minus U into, minus of CB into U. Let me call the sum equation number 7. Now, what is LM? LM is nothing but LG minus LM. See, LG minus LN. So go back and check it here. What is LM? LM is equal to LN minus your MG. This particular thing, MN is equal to LM is equal to your LN minus your MN. That's what I'm trying to do. It is LN actually. LG minus LN actually. So now, if I try to write it, LM is equal to your LG, which is, what is your LM? It is U. That is your peripheral velocity, LN that is. CB square into V1 cos alpha 1 minus U minus of CB into U minus of U. Okay. Now, what is cos beta 4? Cos beta 4 is equal to LM by VR4, or I can write LM is equal to VR4, that is, VR3 into, this is VR3 into cos beta 3. Or I can write LM is equal to CB square into V1 cos alpha 1 minus U minus of CB into U minus U, which is also equal to VR3 into cos beta 3. Okay. Now, what is my cos beta 4? Cos beta 4 is equal to Mn by VR4. So, this is cos beta 3. This is Lm by VR3. Cos beta 4 is equal to Mn by VR4. So, Mn is equal to VR4 into cos beta 4. Or I can write Cb is equal to VR4 by VR3, or VR4 is equal to Cb into VR3. And also, it's the equiangular turbine blades. Beta 3 is equal to beta 4. If I substitute for that, your Mn is equal to Cb into VR3 into cos beta 3, or Mn is equal to VR3 into cos beta 3, but already I have defined that as Lm. Okay. Now, what is that Lm? Lm I can write in terms of Cb square. So, Cb into Cb square into V1 cos alpha 1 minus U minus of Cb into U minus U. Now, if I open the bracket and write it, I'll be getting Cb cube into V1 cos alpha 1 minus Cb cube into U minus Cb square into U minus Cb into U. Or I can write Cb cube into V1 cos alpha 1 minus U minus of Cb square into U minus Cb into U. I'm calling that as equation number 9. Now, what is my delta VW for the second row wheel? Actually, it is Lm plus Mn, already I have defined. So, Lm is nothing but your Cb square into V1 cos alpha 1 minus U into Cb U minus U. And if I write for Mn, it is Cb cube into V1 cos alpha 1 minus U minus Cb square into U minus Cb into U. Let's open all the bracket and write it as Cb square into V1 cos alpha 1 minus, this will become Cb square into U minus Cb into U minus U plus Cb cube into V1 cos alpha 1 minus Cb cube into U minus Cb square into U minus Cb into U. So if I group all the things like Cb cube on one side, then Cb square next, Cv cube into u. So I'm going to group it actually. So I can write Cv cube into V1 cos alpha 1 plus Cv square into V1 cos alpha 1 minus Cv cube into u minus 2Cv cube into u minus 2Cb into u minus u. I am calling that as equation number 10. Now I have for delta Vw for the first wheel, delta Vw for the second wheel. Now let's add it. That's what I have done. Delta Vw for the wheel 1 is V1 cos alpha 1 plus Cb into V1 cos alpha 1 minus Cb into u minus u for the first wheel. Then for the second wheel, it is Cb cube into V1 cos alpha 1 plus Cb square into V1 cos alpha 1 minus Cb cube into u minus 2Cb cube into u minus 2Cbu minus u. This is one for the first wheel, second one for the second wheel. Now, what I need to simplify something. If I open the bracket and write all the cos alpha one side, so V1 cos alpha, V1 cos alpha, V1 cos alpha on one side, that is, so this will be 1 plus Cb plus Cb square into V1 cos alpha plus Cb cube into V1 cos alpha as one group. Then all the u on one side, that is minus of 2u plus 3Cb into u plus 2Cb square into u plus Cb cube. So what I will do actually, if I take V1 cos alpha on one side and us on one side, I'll be getting 1 plus Cb plus Cb square into Cb cube as one group. I am calling that as K1. And other side is 2 plus 3b plus 2Cb square plus Cb cube as the second group. I call that as K2. Okay, K1 and K2. If I define that, I'll be getting delta Vw as K1 V1 cos alpha minus K2 into u. So K1 is our defined, K2 is our defined. Okay. Now let us substitute this delta Vw in my blade efficiency equation, which already we have defined. What is it actually? 2u into delta Vw of 1 plus delta Vw of 2, the whole thing divided by V1 square. Now, if I substitute for the delta Vw1 minus plus delta Vw, that is K1 V1 cos alpha 1 minus K2u into 2u divided by V1 square. I am calling that as equation number 11. Let's define the speed ratio. Already we know phi is equal to u by V1. It is a ratio of peripheral velocity or blade velocity divided by your steam flow or absolute velocity. If that is the case, then what I will do actually, if u is equal to phi into V1. So wherever u is there, I will substitute in terms of phi and V1. So if I substitute for u, it will be phi into u1, and inside it is I have one more u. I will substitute as phi into V1, the whole thing divided by V1 square. Now, if you look at the things in the within the bracket, you have V1 in the first equation, you have this V1 in the second one. So what I will do, I will take already V1 outside. So already one V1 is there, one V1 square. If I take it out, this will be blade efficiency will be equal to 2 phi into V1 square into K1 cos alpha minus alpha 1 minus K2 into phi, the whole thing divided by V1 square. So V1 square in the numerator and V1 square in the denominator, just they simply cancel out, so that I am left with an equation 2 blade efficiency is equal to 2 phi into K1 cos alpha 1 minus K2 phi, which I am calling equation number 2, which is the efficiency equation or blade efficiency or vane efficiency equation. So in the equation, in this equation 2, if you look at it, K1 is a constant, K2 is a constant, and alpha is the flow angle. See, flow angle I can't change in whenever I want. So alpha 1 also I need to keep it constant. So what will be the variable? The variable will be the phi. So the blade efficiency becomes a function of only phi. If at any given point, if I want to maximize it, I can differentiate this equation 12 and equate it to 0. So that's what I'm going to do here. Right, differentiate d by d phi of 2 phi. If I open the bracket, this will be K1 cos alpha minus 2 into K2 into phi square. So because 1 phi is inside, 1 phi outside. So it is 2 phi, 2 phi K2 phi 2 square. If I differentiate, the first one will be 2 K1 cos alpha 1 minus of 2 K2 phi, or 2 into 2 K2. So it will be 4 K2 phi, which is equal to 0. If I simplify, I'll be getting the value of phi, which is the optimum value for maximum blade efficiency, which is equal to the ratio of K1 by K2 into cos alpha 1 by 2. So this is the equation number 13. And this is the optimum value. Now if I substitute this in equation 12, what I want to get is the maximum blade efficiency. So the above equation is the optimum value. You can substitute and get it, maximum value. Or if I go for some kind of an ideal condition, that is no friction, that is your CB is equal to 1. If that is the condition, what will happen if I go to this K1, which is equal to, see, if you look at all those things, 1 plus 1 plus 1 square plus 1 cube. So K1 will be 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 4. And if I come to the K2, it is 2 plus 3 into 1, 2 into 1 square plus 1 cube, or 1, that is. So 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. So it is 8. So K1 will be 4 and K2 will be 8 for an frictionless ideal condition. If that is the case, if I substitute for the K1 as 4 and K2 as 8, this will become 1 by 2. So 2 into 2, it is 4. Your optimum phi will be cos alpha 1 by 4, which is already we have derived. What is for the single stage optimum? It was cos alpha 1 by 2. If you look at the previous derivations, previous expression, whatever we have done, it is cos alpha 1 by 2. Now for 2 stages, it is cos alpha 1 by 4. If I go for 3 stages, it will be cos alpha 1 by 6. If I go for 4 stages, it will be cos alpha 1 by 8. So what I can write, I can generalize this as K1 by K2 into cos alpha 1 by 2 into n. Okay, I can generalize that as K1 by K2 into cos alpha, so it is cos alpha 1 by 2 into n. So that is my maximum blade efficiency. If I substitute for this, for the just for one half of the single wheel, if I substitute for phi optimum everything and simplify this particular thing, I'll be getting K1 square by K2 into cos square alpha 1 by 2. So I'm calling that as equation number 15. Okay, and this is my maximum blade efficiency. And what will be the power equation for such a condition? The power developed by the turbine will be mass flow rate into your work done, or specific work, that is delta VW into U. So already if you know delta VW, just multiply by U, multiply by mass flow rate, you will be getting the corresponding power developed by that particular turbine. It can be 2 stage, it can be 3 stage, whatever. That's a general expression. So this is about your expressions for or optimal speed ratio, work done, and your blade efficiency. So there are some theoretical aspects which you people have to look into that. It's clearly given in area, though you can go through that, but there are some finer points which you have to look at. If I want to select a impulse blade section, what type of blade sections will be given? Usually we will be having 2 types of blade sections. One is of the plate type, another one is of profile type. What is the plate type actually? If you look at the plate type, it's like a sheet metal curved, given a curved shape. It can be of 2 forms, having same blade angles, that is beta 1 is equal to beta 2, or it can have a non-equiangular blade angle, that is beta 1 and beta 2 are different. So if I look at it, see how the blades are, they are all axial flow machines. These blades are arranged actually with S. S is nothing but the pitch, which is the circular pitch. S is the circular pitch and B is the width of that particular blade. Fine. In other type of your plate type, what we have is the edges are tapered. We can have the constant thickness, or you can have the taper type. So when you are tapering out, the tips are tapered, or with angles are different. My blade or width may be B. If you call B2 that particular length, or B1 will be the extension. So I will be getting a different profile. Okay. The second type of your impulse plate section is the profile type actually, where it is more or looks like an aerofoil profile with the edges or the tips being tapered, and you can see that there is something called as a D. D is nothing but it is the flow channel. D is nothing but a flow channel which is determined by thickness of your blade. If you have a thickness being very small, so it becomes a function of your pitch and that particular blade angle. So S is my circular pitch multiplied by your sine beta 2 in that particular. So it's an opposite side if I look at it. So that is my flow channel distance, or that is the flow channel through which your flow will be there. If I have a more thickness, this gets reduced. So I have to reduce the thickness of what is this like? Why it is T? It's off of the T on one side and off the T on other side. So that's why it is minus of T by 2 plus T by 2, it becomes thickness. Fine. Then you have this choice of blade angles, whether it's a beta 1 or beta 2. When you are looking into this, the blade angles, we have to look at what is called as the loading conditions. Whether your particular turbine has been fully loaded or it is partly loaded. Now let's look at the condition where I have shown an inlet velocity triangle with alpha 1 as the flow angle and V1 is the absolute velocity, and VR1 I have the corresponding relative velocity, and VF1 and VW1 are the flow and your tangential velocity. Suppose the V1 gets reduced, that means I'm going to load it partly. So my triangle becomes smaller. You can see if V1 I have shown V1 dash and V1 double dash. So the corresponding beta 1 dash and beta 1 double dash, the angles gets reduced or angles gets increased, changed. So for this condition, the whole velocity triangles will become smaller, which is an indication of the power developed gets reduced. So part load condition, so full load conditions, I'll be able to get in the, so if this is something like I have a steam power plant generating 500 megawatt, that's your maximum power capacity. Sometimes I may have to run it to part load, say 200 megawatts. At that condition, I won't be sending the velocity of the steam at the same rate what I used to send. I may send it at few percentage, 30%, 40%, 50% of it, but still my turbine will be working and it will be generating the power. So if you want to look at it, actually, I can write maybe tan beta 1 I have written. Similarly, you can write it for outlet velocity. What is this tan beta 1? Your opposite by your adjacent side. So Vf1 by Vw1 minus u. If I substitute it, I'll get the corresponding relations already what you have got in your velocity triangles. So in the